The Boundary Park Alert System is sponsored by Pendle New Tech, a family-run Lancashire business you can rely on for everything fire safety related, including supply and installation, maintenance, testing, certification, alarms, risk assessments, like I said, anything fire safety related. But what do I know? Visit pendlenewtech.com and they'll sort you right out. Check the show notes for more information. This is a test of the Boundary Park Alert System. Hello and welcome to the Boundary Park Alert System with me, Matt Dean. Good morning, Andy. Or good afternoon. We've just tipped over into midday.
Yeah, good afternoon. You all right? Nice to see you briefly yesterday.
It was very brief, yeah. It's one of them in Notts County. They insist on checking your tickets, don't they, and making sure you're in the right block and stuff like that. So you kind of see the people you're with, that you might want to spend some time with, but you end up getting split up anyway. Regardless of that, I did have the misfortune of finding Dave and sitting next to him for the full game today. So he cut a lonely figure as I walked up the steps. He was just sat there in a sort of sulky looking, holding a cup of tea. I thought I'd better go and sit with him. He had the grump because he went down on the train, but he wasn't drinking with his buddies. So I think he got, I think it was a bit much for him because he wasn't on the same vibe, if you know what I mean. So we gave him a lift home, and we all sulked together in the car on the way home instead. So that was all right.
Sounds joyous.
Yeah. How was your trip to and from Nottingham from London, Andy?
Well, I didn't get back until nearly 9 p.m. because there were delays on the train away back, which is a bit of a test, as you could see. I had both my lads with me yesterday, so an 8 and 6-year-old. It's a bit of a test. In fact, I said to the wife when I got in, we're going to have to pick a week where I go on my own because I just need a little bit of time where I can, when you could see when I was chatting to you and Harriet and Ed, of course, we met at Stanley, didn't we? My kids are pulling at my arms going, can we get in the seats? Can we go and see what's going on? Yeah, you're like, So, I'm looking forward to picking one. I might pick one near my birthday and just go a bit big on that day. I can see.
Yeah, when's that?
February, no, about a few weeks after yours.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Well, we were discussing in the car. My birthday's on the 9th of February. So if you want to send cards, donations and gifts, please feel free. But Swindon away on the 7th is my birthday game, birthday weekend. So we were looking up things to do in Swindon yesterday. As you can imagine, it took virtually the whole way home. There was so much stuff to do in Swindon. So exciting. It's going to be an exciting weekend.
Well, we've got one of our Oasis lot, Danny McKinstry. He's been on the show before, good mate of mine. He lives in Swindon.
Yeah. He'll know. Inside info. Oh, fantastic. Yeah, that's going to be a weekend to remember, I should imagine. Right, Andy, we do have a fan guest. He's sitting there smiling patiently, waiting to get involved. So let's bring him in. It's a he. Spoiler.
It's a he, yeah. We do try and invite girls on, don't we? But they're not so keen. I don't know whether we
don't have any joy with the girls, do we, Andy?
No, that's been a lifelong issue for the parents.
I think it's our association to Dave Bradley that puts them off.
Let's put it down to that.
Let's put it down to that. Yeah.
Well, it's a fan debutante, so it's good to have a debutant on. So tell us, when was your first game, fan guest?
My first game, I've actually had to look it up this morning. It was 1989 versus Hull at home, and we won.
We got beat.
No, we won 3-2. Yeah, we won 3-2. I remember sitting in the Lookers stand at the top. 1989 wasn't a bad year to go to your first game, was it?
Oh, so no, you timed that very, very well. If that must have been 89-90 then. I think Jobson was playing for Hull that day. He might have done. Yeah, the year after. It was the only game we lost when we went up at home to them. And I remember the Hull fans giving Jobson some stick. Who was your first favourite player then from that era? You've got a plethora to choose from.
Yeah, I have. See, my favourites were. I actually had two, and I couldn't really decide between the two. It was Henry and Milligan. The two middle of the parkers, just
two ratters in the middle. Were you a midfielder yourself then?
I wasn't. I was a I was a centre half who wanted to be a midfielder, I think, but I loved them. They just drove us through everything. I loved them. Heart broke when it didn't give that goal for Henry in the semi-final, because I thought he was brilliant that day as well. So them two were my favourites. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure we're going to come on to talk about midfield shortly, so that's a nice preamble to that.
But not in the same light, I don't think.
No. What is your favourite ever away game?
See, it's funny. I was going to say Forest away, but everybody says Forest away. It was like one shining light in a shower of shit, wasn't it, at the time? But actually, it was Wrexham away, and I can't remember the year. I was probably about 18, 19, and we went to Wrexham away. We drew 3-3. Carlo Corazon, I think, scored 2 at the end to draw 3-3. And that was one of my favourite aways. Yeah, that I loved it. It was ace. The away end was good. It was quite early on in the season. So, and Carlo scored. Scored a couple. I think he came on a sub, I think, and scored a couple. Yeah, so Wrexham away was a good one.
Well, you could do with the question about Carlo Corazon in Latics mile later, couldn't you? I've had a quick look. I'm not sure there are any, but anyway. And tell us a little known fact about yourself.
I was trying to think of anything to do with Oldham, but I don't really have a lot to do with Oldham. I think I had a kick around with Eric Cantona. That's not a bad one. Yeah. We knew a.
Did you karate kick him?
No, it just no. I didn't think. I don't think it kind of registered how big a thing it was at the time. But we knew a player from the class of '92 who was in the class of '92 and kind of got a little bit of
Nicky Butt.
Backstage. Not Nicky. No, it wasn't Nicky Butt. He was on holiday with Nicky Butt. It was a guy called Carl Brown. He never made it, but he was part of that. He grew up with them, and he kind of we had a tour of. We've been on Old Trafford's pitch when it was closed and stuff. And look, I wouldn't let my daughter go and do it now because she's an Oldham fan, but at the time it was quite good, So. But yeah, I think having a kick about with Cantona, I think is probably as a football thing.
If I was having a tour around the pitch at Old Trafford, I'd be sorely tempted to have a wee.
Just do a knee slide in the middle of the pitch, just cut it up. Yeah.
I think that's been, objectively speaking, that's pretty cool. Having a kick about with Eric Cantona. I mean,
yeah.
I mean,
it means more to others than it does me. I think you speak to a lot of Man United fans, go, "Oh my god, I can't believe it!"
Yeah.
Rather have had a kick about with Sheridan than Cantona.
But if you take if you do look objectively, he was a hell of a footballer and a character. Like he was pretty iconic, I guess, for the like 90s football. To be fair, so
made his English debut at Boundary Park.
Well, he made his debut for Leeds at Boundary Park, didn't he? He played for Sheff Wednesday before them, didn't he? But look at bottom of the Championship, Sheff Wednesday and Sheff United.
On the slide,
bottom and second bottom. Yeah, it's really.
It was just on the Sheffield Wednesday thing. I talked about it this morning, actually. It was good to see them that their fans actually start to do something, right? It's kind of, they did a protest in the middle of the game yesterday. Yeah. And it just harks back, doesn't it? It my wife asked about it, and I was like, it was just like when we had Abdallah running us. It was the fans have got to do something, haven't they? Or it's just going to keep rolling on. So, sorry, that's
no. You're right.
It's good to hark back because imagine we're in and it makes everything else, even off the back of a defeat, seem okay, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
Right. Who are you? Introduce yourself.
My name's Chris Elliott. I'm C Elliott 83, I think, on Twitter. Not an Oldhamer, never been an Oldhamer. Lived in Lincoln most of my life. Lived in America for a little bit, and actually lived in Nottinghamshire for a little bit. So never been an Oldhamer, but been an Oldham fan all my life. Yeah, so it's thanks, Dad. Would be really, yeah.
I assume your dad is an Oldhamer.
Yeah, he's an Oldhamer, and he was in the RAF, and he moved to Lincoln's big RAF place, so he moved down here, and then but we stuck. Me and my brother are Oldham fans, and now his kids and my daughter are Oldham fans now. So, it's quite nice being on the outside looking in a little bit. It was quite nice, that kind of thing, but. You don't get caught up in a lot of the hysteria and stuff that I think goes on, but it was, we try and get to as many games as we can. Not a season ticket holder, just I wouldn't get to enough games, I don't think, to warrant it. But I think we've been to 5 this year, and we were at Wembley. Wembley's massive because that's, and we talked about what Wembley will do for the club and the win at Wembley and stuff, but my daughter and my brother's 2 kids are now huge into it, whereas before it was kind of dabbling. Now it's huge into it. So, and that's because of Wembley, and that's because of that day, really. So, hopefully, that's other people have that experience as well with their kids, because that's the lifeblood, isn't it, of the club really moving forward.
I was writing something for the fanzine on Friday, and I asked ChatGPT to do the maths for me because, unlike Andy, I don't have a maths degree, and I didn't feel like working it out for myself. But so I said, "What was the? How many days was it between? I believe it was the 27th of April, 1991, when we won promotion away at Ipswich Town, and the 1st of June, 2025." And it was 12,454 days in between our promotions, which is a lot of days.
Yeah.
Isn't it? 12,454 days between promotions. So that's why that day at Wembley, when you sort of like tap back into the emotion of it, why it was so emotional.
You can't really believe that there's Oldham fans between the ages of about 18 and 30 now, because you think, what have they had to kind of, what was the thing that kind of grasped them and caught them? There have not been anything really, is there, for that long? And it's kind of, it's a wonder you don't see 45-year-olds and 12-year-olds, it's kind of, hats off to them and fair play to them. They go every week, don't they, and stuff.
Well, it's the power of indoctrination, Chris. It's the persistence of parents like Andy and yourself and my brother, who have got kids who don't live in Oldham, who are surrounded by clubs that are far more successful, and kids at school who support teams that are far more successful and on the TV way more. And you've just got to convince them early on that they will be disowned and banished, abandoned on the side of a motorway or something like that. You just until something like Wembley comes along. The odd carrot dangled in front of them in between, but it's just, that's just one of those things. And I think, let's put it into context. Let's bring it back to October 2025 and the defeat at Notts County, because I think it was the worst performance of the season yesterday. And you obviously rightly, we've just felt a bit deflated from it, but we'll put it into context, bearing everything in mind, and it's not the end of the world. It was just a poor performance, poor display. I think we'll come on to the way that the team was set up. I think that was poorly judged from the manager. And it wasn't a great day. Notts County away is still not a happy hunting ground for us as a club and as a set of fans. It's a big stadium, huge, 11,500 fans there for a League Two game. Loads of Latics fans there making loads of noise before the game. You get sort of a bit caught up in the noise and the enthusiasm and the expectancy of it, don't you? You think, I think we could do something here. And then 5 minutes in, we're 1-0 down, and it's like a repeat of our last trip to Notts County. We just never looked like getting back into the game after that. I mean, we could have lost the game 6-7-1, couldn't we, easily? But it was disappointing. Andy, what was your take on yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, when I saw the lineup at the start of the game, I was actually sat on the same row as Paul Prendergast, who who gives us the Latics Mind questions. And thankfully, he's topped us up this week, which is good. He said you can't really have a go. He's having a go, isn't he? He's not sitting in with a 4-5-1 low block. He's having a go. He's got a lot of offensive players on that pitch. So no one can complain if we have a goal and then get beat. And I guess that was right. I didn't disagree with that at the outset, but I was bemused that Hannon wasn't on the pitch, if I'm honest, because I think he's been probably our best signing over the summer and looked a real, you look at some of the stats, which we'll come to in a bit with another sort of stat we've got. I'm going to need a jingle for that little thing we've got. Matt, I'm going to do every week.
That'd be a pleasure. Cool.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. But if you look at Hannon's stats, like his pass completion rate's really high. He's always involved in the game. He's a really good footballer, I think. And so to see him on the bench after the way he's been involved recently was head scratching. I didn't really understand it. And when I saw Quigley and Mellon in the side, I was assuming it was two up front. That was my assumption at kickoff, as we're playing two strikers. Rightly
to assume that, I would say.
Yeah. And so how we were going to set up after that, whether it was 3-5-2 or 4-4-2, I wasn't sure. And then the other thing you've got to think about is why is Pet not starting? Pet came back from his injury and we started winning. So until Pet was in the side, we hadn't won. Pet's been in the side while we've won, and then he's dropped him. And now he's dropped him because he can't get three central midfielders into that particular formation that he wanted to play. If he's gonna try and get Payne in there. He's going to have to drop one of the three that's been playing. And I guess away from home, you're probably saying, well, he's going with Conlon and Woods to provide extra sort of cover and do a bit of defensive screening. And therefore, he's decided to drop Pet. But, in retrospect, with the benefit of hindsight, that was a wrong decision. And both Pet and Hannon should start. And I was chatting to, there's a chap stood next to me I've spoken to before who refuses to come on the podcast as fan guest. Every time I ask him, he's like, no, it's not for me. I'll listen, but I'm not coming on. I was chatting to him and he was like, well, name the best players at the club or your best 11. And you're like, when you think about it, Pet and Hannon are two of the best players of the club, in my opinion, and both of them on the bench. So that is a strange decision. And then, of course, when it sets up and you see that he's gone 4-3-3 and he's playing Quigley out wide, expecting Quigley to turn into prime Rick Holden, I'm absolutely bemused by that. I'm thinking you can't be playing a big lad like that out wide, can you? And so, yeah, it was he obviously, in this one half of it says he thought that would get some joy. I don't know what he thought about. He'd obviously seen something about Notts County set. Maybe he thought down the right-hand side they were weak and he was going to try and exploit that with Quigley's height, I don't know, for knockdowns. And therefore he's seen something he's tried. It hasn't worked. That's fair enough, right? I'm not going to lose my head over it. Quite a few people around me losing their head a little bit. Again, the lad next to me was like, sometimes, when we've come to Notts County before and there's 800 here, you like that 800 or the 800 that know what's going on. When there's 2,000 here, there's at least 500 in here that don't go regularly, and they're the ones losing their head a bit because they want to see a win. And you're like, calm down, it's not that. It's not the end of the world. But yeah, it was just a bit. It was disappointing with that size following. You want to capitalise on it by putting in a performance. Don't expect to win, right? But just put in a performance. And we were so lacklustre, so weak. We didn't win second balls. There was far too much unopposed play for Notts County to sort of pass around. They looked loads better than us, didn't they, in that first half? The other thing I noticed was that wind was playing havoc in the first half because the ball was carrying, and you could see both Daniels. I hope he isn't injured for long. Daniels and Month set in for a header, but the ball then carried another 10 yards behind. Jatta was another level. Jatta looked championship level to me. He looked super strong, fast, direct, good with the ball at his feet. He looked a really good striker. But he was just spinning off them and taking advantage of it. And Matt Palmer in the middle, of course, we know all about Matt Palmer, but he looked very accomplished on the ball. He looked a lot better than Colin Ann Woods to me in that sort of anchor role in the middle.
And
so,
they look better than us man for man yesterday, I thought, around the pitch. They just looked like a superior side and they just looked sharper, better touch, better movement, knew where to pass, where to move. They just look like a much better side than us yesterday. And if going into the game, both on the same amount of points, I'm saying, with the starts of the season that we've had, I'm saying, are they a much better side than us? Having not really seen them play, so I don't know, but I'm expecting to say probably not. But I think we played into their hands, and they had a good day as well. I think it's probably a fair play to put it. I think in terms of the formation, I don't know why on earth he played Quigley out there like that. What I thought, the way that it played into their hands was because we played with a back four, but then we played with a narrow midfield, and then we had these Drummond and Quigley sort of out on the. Mellon was isolated up on his own. Quigley was isolated. Drummond was isolated, and then there was a big pocket in between the our right forward players and our right defensive players, and they were just getting into that space all the time and then hitting us and having overloads, and it was really, really frustrating. Well, the most frustrating thing was the way that we give away that first goal. I know it was lucky. It was lucky that they got the deflection, but Caprice absolutely switches off when they get that throw in. He's just strolling with his back to play. And it was just too easy, and that was within 5 minutes. And it's just from there, it's just an uphill struggle. Because Notts County fans are shit, aren't they? They've got a big ground. They've got loads of fans, but they don't make any noise until they're winning. They only felt comfortable singing it 2-0 up.
They only wanted to do is give us shit. They didn't even
No,
it wasn't a lot of backing for themselves. It was just as soon as they scored a goal, it was just aim it at us, and it was a bit.
Yeah. I mean, bunch of wankers, absolutely.
Yeah.
But Chris, we didn't. I will listen to Mickey Mellon in a minute. But do you think that he got it wrong as well yesterday, or did the players let him down because they were shit as well, weren't they?
I've done a lot of coaching in my time. I kind of, from the age of about 16, 17, when I had to give up football or gave up football, I kind of went into coaching and did a lot of coaching. So I do a lot of analysis and stuff like that. I look at it, and that sounds like I'm bragging. I'm not,
no, it's just setting context, isn't it? Yeah, you've got
Hannon, for me, Hannon was definitely a punishment for something yesterday. There's no way you could look at and being part of football teams and being part of they made that change on 50 minutes where they basically virtually swapped the front line, didn't they? Other than Mellon, and he didn't come on, and he brought Morris on over him, and he brought Fondop. I get the Fondop one, but he brought Morris on over him, and then he brought him on with 5 minutes to go at right back. Definitely a punishment for me. I don't know. Obviously, we will never find out. But I would be surprised if that isn't a punishment. You're not sitting on this bench for the whole game. I'm going to give you 5 minutes in these horrible conditions, 3-1 down, and you're going to have to go take your licks. That kind of what it felt like yesterday. I do like the 4-3-3. He's done that. I think actually, if you look at it for the past few weeks, where he's played Fondop wide, and actually plays Fondop wide right. But I think what they're actually told to do is kind of cheat a little bit and don't have to track back a lot, which is fine. I'm guessing that's for diagonal balls and stuff like that and picking up pieces. Quigley isn't that, though. Quigley isn't Fondop, and Fondop isn't Quigley. I know they're probably like for like on your team sheet. You play one and you play the other, but they're not the same player. And Quigley looked really lost yesterday, but the loss wasn't on Quigley. Don't get me wrong, but he looked really lost. He just looked completely out of it. Really, it was basically a passenger for a lot of it. What else did we have? Drummond. Do you know a big one for me? Caprice, I thought was a real weird selection. I thought that really was the weird selection for me, Caprice over Sutton. Because if you look at Mickey Mellon doesn't like changing his team, I don't think. He likes sticking with something that's worked. But the problem is we were 1-0 down against Barnet and he put Caprice in to be more attacking, didn't he? over Sutton, and he changed it at half time, and it was a tactical change, and it kind of worked. I don't think he's a right back, Caprice, anyway. I think he's a wing back. I don't think he's a right back. But that for me was the weird one, because I thought we'd go there to be solid to start off with, and maybe, you know, he always talks about earning the right to play. Well, we never earned the right to play yesterday at all, and I thought Sutton has earned the right to play, really, for me, for the last... I'm not Sutton's biggest fan. I think he has a ceiling, but he's a better right back than he's a centre back. And I feel like that was a mistake. Because you're playing Robson and Caprice, you're basically playing wing backs, I think, rather than playing fullbacks. And I think yesterday kind of called for a fullback. I don't know if you saw it, and I don't know, there was a header by Daniels in about the second minute, and they pumped a long ball, and he'd basically gone up to head it, and he misjudged it, misread it, and it came off the top of his head and went out for a corner behind us. And really you went, oh no, it's going to be one of those. And from then, really, there was missed kicks, there was misreading of stuff, there was, you know, the pitch was terrible, by the way, for an October pitch. If you watched the warm up, the ball's not rolling; it's sliding. So they'd overwatered it. It was hard. It was hard for them all. But I just think as we're talking from a lineup point of view, I thought if you gave him a do over and said do it over again, I think that the Sutton for Caprice one would be the one, really, that, because we were on the back foot. I think we were just on the back foot from the get-go, because I don't think he's a very good defender. I think he's okay on the ball and he's okay going forward as an attacking fullback. But I don't think he's a very good defender, and I think that showed yesterday. And they'd probably done the homework on that as well. They get paid too, don't they? So that, you know, they've done the homework on that too. So that's really from a lineup point of view. But again, just to add, the players didn't do themselves. I don't, you know, whoever was out there, they should have done better. Coaches can only do so much, but from a lineup point of view, I was that the Bermuse one was Caprice over Sutton. For me.
It was a bad day all round, and it was frustrating because they couldn't. When we got the ball, we were giving it away. What frustrated me was it was clearly obvious in the first half that it wasn't working. We went off the pitch at 2-0 down, and he brought Fond up on, and I was like, "Who's he took off?" And he took Drummond off, and he'd gone basically with the same again, but he put Fond up out on the right and left Quigley out on the left, which wasn't working at all, and he needed to change it in terms of formation, because what pissed me off is they scored again. And they came in from that left-hand side, and because of the change it hadn't changed the formation, and we were getting caught out on the flanks because of the formation, and the goal came again down that left-hand side, and it was bad defending. There was a mistake. I can't remember who it was, but it
was Payne, wasn't it? He got caught with the best touch of the whole game, and then delayed his pass back to Hudson, and they just took it off him, didn't they?
Yeah.
And to be fair to Hudson, he was fantastic, I thought, throughout the game. Should have saved it, really.
Yeah, he put it through his legs, didn't it?
Went through him, yeah. So.
Yeah. But for me, and then what he does then after that, Mellon, is make a decision. You know, he's change formation. We went into a 4-4-2. Fondop is so much stronger than Quigley. He's so much more physical a presence. Quigley's just not strong enough. There was people around it saying it yesterday, for a guy who's as big and strong, he needs to go in the gym. He needs to start sparring with Fondop during the week and toughen up a bit, because Fondop you can see the difference. Now, Mike Fondop is a uniquely powerful man, but Quigley, he's just not the same, and he wasn't fighting, he wasn't holding the ball up when he did get to him, and they weren't bringing in players into play, but he shouldn't have been out on that left-hand side. I don't understand it. And he waited too long to make he needed to make significant changes at half-time. He should have brought on 3 new players, set up completely different, say, right, go out second half. We've got to get that next goal. We can't afford to lose another goal. Kai Payne looked lost yesterday. And I just don't understand why we'll listen to Mickey in a minute, and he can explain. But I don't understand why he's gone and changed his tried and tested system of picking up points away from home at probably the toughest away game of the season so far. I don't understand why he's opened us up like that at Notts. I don't think any one of us would have gone there yesterday if we'd have set up like we usually do to just try and sort of, just get a foothold in the game, be solid. Because I said I wouldn't be surprised if it was 0-0 yesterday, because we go there and do a job. I'd have been happy with that.
45 minutes, you'd have taken it, wouldn't you? Like
I'd taken a point, 0-0 point. I'd have taken that all day yesterday, going there, picking up something, and that's why I can't quite get my head around why he's gone against his own.
Yeah,
sort of tried and tested. You know,
Payne has been brought in, really. Again, if you listen to all the kind of interviews that they've done, Payne's been brought in to replace Yoga Nathan. He wants him to be Yoga Nathan. When he first played for Payne, he was a holding midfielder, defensive midfielder. But I think both Mellon and Payne have both said, "Oh yeah, I've been told to get on the ball more and go forward more and add goals to my game." So I think he basically wanted him to play off Mellon up front. And it just didn't work. And actually, after about 30 minutes, he put Payne back as the 6 and played Woods and Connon as the 8s. And again, but it just didn't. We never, ever, not once, got a control of the ball. And for me, and actually for the first 11 games of the season, I don't think we've ever controlled a game. Like we've never taken a sting out of a game. We've never had a passage of play where we've been under control and we've dictated the tempo of the game. We are such a rock and roll football team where it is 100 mile an hour all the time. It is gung ho all the time. Even when we played at Cambridge, when we won at Cambridge, it's gung ho. It's fast and direct and stuff like that, which is great until you need to take the sting out of the game. And I thought that when we went 1-0 down after having a bit of a shaky 10 minutes, I wanted us to take the sting out of it a little bit, take their fans out of it like they did to us in the second half. And I don't think we have that ability at this point. And that's a shame, really, because there will be times where you need to manage a game through, need to manage 10, 15, just bore the shit out of everybody for 10, 15 minutes just to get yourself into. We don't do that at all, which is exciting to watch. But when it comes unstuck, it looks really bad. It looks really bad, like yesterday did. So,
and what you say, 11 games into the season, we got beat 3-1. It's our heaviest defeat of the season. It's not an embarrassing scoreline, but it could have been. I mean, there was an absolutely fantastic save from Matt Hudson, which is not on the highlights. I don't know if there's going to be an extended highlights reel, but I've not seen it yet. But it wasn't on the highlights reel.
In the first half, was it?
In the second, was it in the second half? Yes, when they were shooting towards the Cop end, it was. He said he went with his left hand, I think. And,
he did. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it was really, really good.
Was that many actually that you can't?
Yeah. But anyway, let's have a listen to Mickey Mellon and see what he made of it. The Boundary Park Alert System is sponsored by Pendle New Tech, a family-run Lancashire business you can rely on for everything fire safety related, including supply and installation, maintenance, testing, certification, alarms, risk assessments, like I said, anything fire safety related. But what do I know? Visit pendlenutech.com and they'll sort you right out. Check the show notes for more information.
Mickey, it's ended in defeat this afternoon. What's your reflections on the 90 minutes?
We've done well up to the stage, and we just had too many that just didn't play well enough today. We didn't play well enough in with the ball or without the ball. We started really poorly, gave away some cheap goals, and we just didn't really give a good account of ourselves as individuals and as a group. Give away some cheap goals. But what you've got to say is, I mean, you can't take anything away from the opposition. I thought that they punished us and they looked sort of more comfortable in this kind of game with this kind of environment than what we did, and that's disappointing and a bit of a learning curve for us because we've sort of just come into this. But I was expecting more of us. I think I'm disappointed. I feel that we have let the supporters sort of down by not being a better version of ourselves, but too many odd errors and poor with the ball and poor decision making, and then somebody defending is unlike us. So just pretty much from the start, we didn't start well. We spoke about having a good start. We spoke about the importance of having a good start. And again, after sort of 7 minutes, we find ourselves a goal down. I thought my goalkeeper was outstanding, and it could have been more. We had a wee bit of a huff and a puff in the second half, but not enough.
Did that slow start, particularly in a game like this, is that what proved costly ultimately?
I think over the course of the whole game, we didn't give a good account of ourselves without the ball, and you've got to, when you come into here, you've got to be better at that. You've got to be better at that. We spoke about it before. We've sort of come into it and spoke about the importance of dealing with their moments with and without the ball, and we just made so many mistakes with the ball and lost too many battles, too many headers, too many knockdowns went to Notts County, and we gained a wee bit of momentum in the second half. We gave away a cheap goal again. At any level, we'd be disappointed with that. But overall, just too many were players who have been important to us and have done really, really well, just didn't produce today.
4 changes, I think, to the starting 11 from last week. What was the thinking with those?
We obviously, Jacob Rees is a right back, and he's sort of come into it in there. We wanted the legs of Kai Payne in the middle of the pitch. We wanted to try and get a front three up there and go and cause them problems. Probably didn't do enough of that, but it was the service into them good and order, so you could balance that off. I don't think they're massive changes, Al. I think it's probably kind of like for like. I wouldn't sort of let us off the hook by suggesting it's anything like that. We just didn't play well enough.
I'd say it's a new experience to defeat like this season, isn't it? And I suppose, as you touched on before, it's important how we bounce back now from this, isn't it?
We will. We acknowledge that on the day we've not been good enough as individuals or as a group. We know that we have performed better at the things that the game has asked us before, but just today we just we had little good moments, and then moments of poorness just cost us. And it was the game was sort of littered with us kind of doing that. You would go right, good. Oh, good. Oh, it was just one of them today where we couldn't string a sort of level of performance together that you're going to need in order to come to places like this and be in the game and get results.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Right. So, Mickey Mellon, assessment of the game yesterday. Do we agree or disagree with what he has to say?
I think he was quite honest, wasn't he? I think he was. I do subscribe to players over. I think he's probably looking at it, going, I think they let him down a little bit yesterday. When you make that call where you're playing, you change 4 players from your starting 11. You've got to hope that they come good, and they didn't. So, I think he was a little bit let down. I quite like Mellon. I think he's quite honest. You have to read between the lines a little bit with him, but I think when he said good, I can't remember 3 goods in a row from yesterday. that was one that I picked up on. But yeah, I think he was let down a little bit. I think it was a fight and a second balls and a winning tackles and things that let us down. I don't think it was necessarily how we set up. I don't think that helped. But when you're not winning, I can't remember us winning a second ball at all in the whole game, and it should have been 6 because of that, really. So I quite like him. I think he's quite honest with what he's.
I'm not gonna dig him out greatly. I think it wouldn't have gone amiss to have said on that interview, maybe I shouldn't have set us up that way. I'll take some responsibility for it. That probably is the only sentence that's missing from his interview. I think that probably would have been, that's what everyone's thinking as they're watching. So just holding his hand up and taking a look. I mean, I think he is. I don't think he's trying to avoid it, but he doesn't explicitly say that. And he probably should have done. He's probably the only thing missing from it. I mean, if you want to try and be a bit positive about it, I thought, you talk about Jatta. Jatta, I don't know about you, but he looked a right player. I know that he was wanting away in the summer. I think Wrexham were having a look at him, or
I think they turned down £1 million for him or something like that.
I think they turned down a bit more than that, potentially a bit more than that, because he's under contract for another year. They obviously want to try and get him playing, because if you've got a striker like that and he's
not started very well either. I do know a couple of Notts County fans, and they've kind of like.
Well, he was on strike, wasn't he?
Yeah,
he was refusing to play because he wanted away. So you've had all that. Either.
So so it's kind of thank God he came back for our game. He must have.
But on a positive note, I thought Mellon showed some nice glimpses yesterday of the striker that we've got as well. And I'll come on to the stat in a moment. But he, like the way he worked out the wind and spun the defender, and what a great kick from Hudson to find him for that assist. But it was all Mellon. As soon as he got the ball, I looked at Mellon, and Mellon was already calling for where he wanted it. And Mellon was very good at staying onside yesterday. Even from offside positions, he would come back onside at the right point just to make his run. He was much cleverer than Quigley or Fondop. His movement's much better in and around that central position. He's probably doesn't do any of the tracking back and defending that that Fondop would do. But he is a class act, and I'm really pleased we've got him for the season. So
the problem is, Andy, with that is with him is, and one of the things that was happening yesterday is he was finding himself alone up front. When he got the ball and he was onside and he was in opportunities, he was getting into the box. There was no one around him. There was no one there, and that was the formation that. I don't like having to centre. If like you talk about Kai Payne being up there, Jorgen Nathan was up. We were playing with Fondop up front, and Jorgen Nathan was up near him, and that's how it was. And in and around him. And when we set up like we did yesterday, with Mellon in the middle, Quigley and Drummond out wide, and then the midfield weren't getting anywhere near close enough, and it was just a thankless task. It's just nothing that going on at all, and that's where I think he could have changed it. It was obvious that.
A big disappointment for me from yesterday as well, especially in the first half when we had Drummond and we had Quigley and Mellon in the middle. The amount of times we turned down a ball into a channel or a ball over the top, the amount of times we turned it down was, and you think of Drummond, and I know people were booing him yesterday actually when he was playing around me, and I thought it was
don't
awful,
like it.
To be honest.
Don't like it.
No.
He's on his arse anyway. You can tell when he was being cheered for when he scored a goal in the warm-up and stuff and stuff. And I know it's playful and stuff, but he must be on his arse. He's a footballer. His confidence must be shot anyway. But actually, we were turning down playing that. The one thing that he gives us is the pace that he has, and it's the one thing that we were turning down balls over to the top or into the channel or down the line, and a lot of it was to feet. And it was the same with Mellon. You talk about him spinning off. He's really good at spinning. He's really good at getting in behind. Hence, we saw against Barnet last week. That's not by accident. That's timing runs, and that's knowing when to go and when to stay. And we turned it down. It must have been 12 a dozen times yesterday in the first half, which is a mentality thing. I think for me, it's make the easy pass rather than the harder pass, and that was the disappointment thing, because we hadn't turned it down in the 4 games we were unbeaten. We'd not turned it down once, I think. So
you've got to take a risk in those situations. Also, turning down crosses into the box was another thing that was irritating. But people were getting on Woods' back for a few balls that he put into the box that weren't particularly perfectly delivered. But I kept looking at Woods and thinking he's the only one who's going to have a go, because Conlon kept coming back inside. Robson often would come back inside. You just deliver it in the box. We've got some big lads in there. Just let them have a go, So often a bit of that. Let me give you the stat I've got here. This week's stat. We'll have a jingle at some stage. The leading goal scorers in League Two is Aaron Drinnan's got 8. Omari Patrick at Tranmere, Matt Dennis at Notts County got 6, and then there's a host of players on 5. But in terms of XG, right? Obviously,
here we go.
Yeah. in terms of XG, the player with the highest XG is probably unsurprisingly Aaron Drinnan's got a non-penalty XG of 3.9, and he scored 8 goals. Obviously, some of those will be penalties probably. But the second highest player with XG in League Two, believe it or not, is Joe Quigley with 3.4. having scored 2 goals. Now, so Joe Quigley's our highest XG. I'll read out the 4 players, Latics strikers. Joe Quigley 3.4, Kane Drummond 2.9, Michael Mellon 2.6. And Mike Fondop 1.7. There's only actually one other player in the whole League Two that's got an XG of over 2, and that's Lee Bonis at Chesterfield. So this was obviously all before yesterday's games, and that will probably have changed by now. But it kind of showed you that we had been creating a hatful of chances across the games and just hadn't been clinical enough putting them away. And so with somebody like Michael Mellon in there, who lovely finish that, wasn't it? Lovely finish.
Yeah, lovely.
On that pitch as well. Any kind of finish on that pitch was a good finish in my view. It was a horrendous pitch.
Yeah. There was you could see the grass at our side was quite thin, wasn't it? Even well onto the playing surface. So so I just think we're probably lucky to have a player of his quality for the season, and hopefully over the course of a year will come good. But he's got to sort that midfield out. I think I probably come to the conclusion. You talk about Jorgen Nathan. Is Kai Payne the same player as Jorgen Nathan? Kai Payne, when he played those handful of games for us last year, was a sitting in defensive midfielder, and he was quite tidy on the football. He's obviously a good footballer, but I don't know whether he's a forward, breaking forward, bursting past his opposition midfielders like Jorgen Nathan could do. I'm not sure. But that's obviously how Mellon sees it, because he was trying that at Dundee United when he got injured.
He was great against Dundee United. And actually, I thought, Jesus, where's this Kai Payne come from? He was great against it. And maybe he's taking time with injuries and stuff like that.
But maybe it's going to take him a few weeks to get fit, and we'll see that. But
I think for that kind of player, though, and I think this is why. So if you think about when think about the playoffs when Jorgen Nathan was playing really well, and Joe Pritchard was playing really well for us as well, and he was playing high up the pitch and he was getting involved. You need, for midfielders like that, need players to play off as well, and they need forward minded players to play. Players like Hannon, like we've seen Hannon, Robson, Conlon linking together. That's what you need. You need bodies in and around the ball as well. So I don't think I think he's going to have to be accommodated as well with footballers around him to play in that position, which he wasn't yesterday.
For me, it sort of comes to, if you're going to try and get Payne in, and he does offer something in that position. I've not seen it yet, but if he does, and I want to see Hannon play. It's a really interesting point that Chris made earlier. A punishment for something. I hadn't considered that, but you're probably right, or you could well be right. He's certainly not beyond the realms of possibility. You're going to have to drop one of Conlon or Woods, because you can't have them both in if you're playing all those players. One's going to have to go by the way.
And I'd have Pett in as well over
That's
Woods.
what I mean.
I think Woods does some good stuff. I'm not saying but I think for me he's a bit more inconsistent. I think he's kind of even within a game he's more inconsistent. He'll do good stuff during the game, and then he'll do pretty poor stuff during the game as well.
Again, I'll add though with Woods, I think the 2 points with Woods is, number one, as a former footballer with no legs, he should be my hero, because he has the least amount of gait when he's running. I don't know if you've actually seen him properly run. He has no gait at all. He must have, his hamstrings must be dry pasta at this point. I'm just not sure. I think the way that we play, a lot of it's like 100-yard basketball game sometimes, and I'm not sure he's designed for a 100-yard basketball game, and that's kind of the way that we play. We are very direct at times, and very, we chased one yesterday that went out for a goal kick, and you kind of want to say to him, don't waste your time, but actually from an optical point of view, he maybe just thought, I'm just going to chase this and just go after it. I think Pett's a better footballer than he is in this team. I think he's a better footballer than he is. I think Pett's probably a better footballer than Conlon in this team. I think probably, but it's just like you say, accommodating them all. I think the two really are Fondop and Quigley, but I think they have to really be the ones that should sit. The problem is, I don't think that was the plan from day one. I think the plan was a Fondop or a Quigley or vice versa. And I think he shoehorned him in a little bit yesterday. But you have to think we signed Stevens, Hawks, Drummond, and Morris to play wide. They were our wide players. There's 4 players for 2 positions. He wanted a player in each, 2 players in each position. There's your 4, and he didn't play any of them. And that was.
I think the formation was there yesterday. And I still think this is our best position. I think you play Conlon in front of the back 4 as the holding midfielder and let him command it, and then you can play. You could play Payne in front of him if you want the legs, so to speak, and you've got Pett on the right, Hannant on the left, and then 2 up front, Mellon and Fondop and or Quigley, and play a 4-1-3-2. I think that is the position, and Woods doesn't figure in that for me, unless maybe he's replacing Conlon as that holding midfielder. But that would be my starting. That would be my starting formation.
Can I just shout out Sutton as well, by the way? Because I thought, and I've tried to stay off social media because I'm on this podcast, because I didn't want to read stuff and kind of be swayed by what other people said. But I have seen a couple of bits about Sutton. I thought Sutton was absolutely hung out to dry yesterday, but for me, I think Monthe, as well as how good Monthe is, if you try and picture yourself playing with him, he would drive you mad. Playing with him, they're so wide. Monthe and Daniels are so wide and far apart. And yesterday, it wasn't until I think about the 60th minute where Sutton went up for one and kind of misread it, which the wind was fucking mental. And Monthe actually covered him and got round him. And it's the first time I saw it in the whole game, and I just thought that should have been from the first minute, really. But actually, Sutton he's probably at fault for our first goal, but I think he'd just come on cold, and I just don't think he had a lot of support from Caprice and from Monthe. And actually, I've not been his biggest fan. Don't think he's great, but I thought second half he really battled and was putting his foot through, and he was making really big challenges. It called for a day yesterday in the first 10 minutes for someone to go smash someone and get booked. That's what it called for, and get the fans on side and get everybody and get the adrenaline going. And it never happened. And it just but I'm not Sutton's biggest fan, but I thought actually yesterday I thought he did okay.
I think once he settled in, in the second half, I think what he was doing was he was getting caught out quite a bit, but he was recovering quite a bit. He was really making, so like he might lose a header or he might get turned, but then he was like, I think scrapping really hard to put a recovering tackle in. So you can't fault that.
No, but with the conditions, and I said this, you have 2 ways of playing with the conditions, and this is a player thing. This isn't a coach thing. Is if you are struggling to read it because of the wind, you either play a high line and your goalkeeper plays high, but Hudson can't do that, and he basically becomes a sweeper really more than anything. Or you play a deep, you play deep, and one attacks and one covers. It's simple football really. I just thought they kind of never did that yesterday, and I think he went, sorry, I'm just going to attack everything, and if I get caught out, I'm going to have to try and recover. But I would prefer somebody to attack rather than you can go backwards a little bit, and that's where the skying of clearances and the missed clearances and spooning it out for a throw in and stuff like that. That's where that comes in when you start to go a bit hesitant and you go backwards, and I think that's what happened to us from the get-go.
There did appear to be a lack of clarity about what they were supposed to be doing all over the pitch yesterday. So I think we can discuss till the cow comes on whether that's down to the manager, whether it's down to the player, whatever. The fact is we had a bad day yesterday, so we'll chalk it off. It's done, it's dusted. We lost away at Notts County, which is something we're all used to. That happens all the time. Whatever year it is, when we play Notts County away, we don't do well.
It's a home game for me as well, so it's even worse, really.
Yeah. But it's done. We've now the important thing is Barrow next week. We've got a win. We've got to get back on winning ways. We've still only lost 1 game in 5 with 3 wins and a draw. So it's just chalk it off and get back to business and beat Barrow next week. Simple as that. Right. There's no messing about now. It's time to play Latics Mind, isn't it, Andy?
Yeah.
No, looking forward to this, yeah. Try and get my memory going. It's been a long weekend.
Andy's ready with the questions, I believe. So it's time to say good luck, Chris.
Latics Mind is sponsored by Oldham Athletics Supporters Foundation, investing in the fans, the club and the community. Join today at oasf.co.uk for just £12 a year. OASF, because we're stronger together.
In the year we got relegated from League One, how many consecutive games did we lose at the start of the season?
6.
Wrong, it was 5.
Oh.
In which year did Latics last make the 5th round of the FA Cup?
2021.
Wrong, it was 2013 against Everton.
Oh. Wow.
Which current Latics player scored in his first 2 appearances for the club?
Current Latics player scored his first 2 appearances for the club. He wasn't fond of. I don't know. Mellon?
Harry Charsley. Why was the game against Crystal Palace? Why was the game against Crystal Palace postponed in October 1987? The clue is in the month and the year.
October 1987. I don't know. Weather.
I'll give you that. There was a famous storm that Michael Fish had not predicted, and it had damaged.
There you go.
In the whole of the 2010s, the decade of the 2010s, how many Football League Cup ties, EFL Cup ties, did Latics win?
4.
1. Which striker started a second spell at the club in 2018?
Oh, I don't know. Jose Baxter. It wasn't Baxter, was it?
Chris O'Grady. Which ground have Latics' last 4 results been? Lost 1-2, start to finish. So which ground have Latics' last 4 visits been? A loss of 2-1, a loss of 2-0, a draw of 1-1, and a loss of 2-0.
League ground, current league ground.
Just which ground?
Okay. I don't know. It could be anyone, right?
Well, if you listen each week, these questions are usually famous grounds.
Right. Goodison Park.
Wrong. It was Highbury.
Okay.
So you scored a grand total of none, like last week. It was good effort. Some tough ones in there.
You didn't you say you were going to give him the weather one?
Oh, I am. Yeah, I was going to give him the weather one.
But the answer was it was the hurricane, wasn't it? It was a
hurricane.
big yeah. I got 4. That's not bad.
Oh, well done.
Yeah.
Calling Chris O'Grady a striker was a stretch.
Yeah. I didn't get that one actually. I went for Craig Davis, but it's probably the wrong year. But he'd rejoined around a similar time, I think. But what was? I managed to guess 5 for the, and I guessed 1 for the EFL Cup as well. So they were guesses, but I managed to guess right. So, but that's part of Latics Mind is guessing. 100%.
When you ask those questions, though, don't it bring it home how bad it's been? Like, about like the fans and all that. 1 EFL Cup win in the decade. In a decade. Yeah. Like, how are people fans of Oldham Athletic who are 25 years old? It bewilders me. It does, to be honest.
Thank God they are, though.
Yeah, I know. We won't have a club, I don't think. Otherwise, would we? So no, it was good. It was thank you for that. I got 1.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, I mean, and the weather is a pretty vague answer, to be fair.
I was trying to think.
I think most games. most games are postponed because of the weather, whether it's frozen pitch or specifically a hurricane. But right, back in one sec.
We're the fire experts, fire safety experts at Pendle New Tech. We train fire marshals, fire safety marshals at Pendle New Tech. Pendle New Tech have fire experts across the UK covering all your local and national needs. With over 100 years experience in the fire safety industry, you know that you can trust Pendle New Tech. Right, enough of that now.
So next week, I think it's international break, isn't it? Next week for the Premier League and the other teams.
We're on Sky, aren't we? With a Sky proper game on Sky, aren't we, next week?
At 5:30 kickoff, isn't it, against Barrow? Yeah. I mean, it's an obvious game for Sky, isn't it? Big Oldham v Barrow. Yeah. Yeah. So I think, look, I mean, there's no reason why we can't beat Barrow at home apart from our terrible home form. We don't win many at home. It's always
it's a weird thing, that, isn't it? The home form. It's a bit weird, isn't it?
We talked about with the stat last week, and it has to be to do with the way we set up at home. The way he sets up generally has done well away. His away record is superb, actually, as a manager. Really good, over 40% win ratio. It's very good away from home. So, yeah, he's got to have a look at it. I'd be looking at one of Woods or Conlon coming out for that game. I think that's probably the way to set up. But we'll see if he sees it the same. Two strikers, someone alongside Mellon. Other than that, the rest of it largely picks itself. But yeah.
Yeah, and the players need to turn up as well and deliver. And start turning these XG things into actual goals. I prefer AGs, actual goals, and and we haven't scored anywhere near enough of them. We've got these XG stats, show that we have dominated games, we have made loads of chances, but you win fuck all with XG. You need AG. So let's get that. Michael Mellon Jr. scored. Has he scored 3 goals now?
Still 3 goals, yeah. His actual. If there's another stat which is goals per 90. His goals per 90 is 0.7. Now after yesterday, which is right up there with some of the best in the league. So that's what I mean. I'm genuinely quite excited to see what we can get out of Mellon. We've just got to give him more service, haven't we, and give him more support alongside him, because I think he's a real handful. He looks really good on the football to me. He has a bit of a lazy sort of language style about him sometimes. But
is that a coach's thing though? Do you think? Do you think he's told not to move? He doesn't move a lot, does he? He doesn't track. No, he doesn't move a lot. But I think that's a coach. I think he's been told to do that.
He's possibly been coached by Burnley. I'd read an article related to Burnley saying that he was. I think they'd used the word lazy in some description, which I think people have shared on social media before. But I'm not sure that's fair. I think a more accurate description is he's a penalty box centre forward, and he comes alive around that space. And I've got no problem with that. Absolutely no problem with it at all. But if they're isolated, you're giving them even less chance to score goals when he's got the ability. So he needs a bit of support and a bit better service. But yeah, I'm genuinely really pleased we've got someone of his ability in the side, because I think there probably aren't that many better at League Two level. So hopefully he can. If he carries on going at 0.7 goals a game, then he'll get close to 20, won't he, or above 20 before the end of the season, and you don't get many of them.
I can't imagine Mickey Mellon's son being lazy. Can you? That's a weird. No. He wouldn't have been brought up to be lazy. I'm sure of that.
No.
So it's no. To be honest, I'd like us to. I think another one just to add, and not to keep going on about it, but I'd like us to learn to lose a bit better as fans. I think that's not a bad thing as well.
We've had plenty of practice, Chris.
But this is it. We should be, we should be used to it by now. But there's a lot of booing, there's a lot of having a go at players, and there's a lot of just negativity. And I just thought it was a little bit unwarranted yesterday. There's been times where it's been warranted, don't get me wrong. But I thought yesterday was a little bit unwarranted. I thought it just looked like one of those where they could still be playing now and it'd still be miskicking it. Like and they have games like that. We've not had many games like that this season. If it was like a third loss this season, you'd have taken that at the start. So, it's
context in it. I think, and you know, like the last, like I said, last 5 games have been, you know, overwhelmingly positive in terms of points and results and stuff. So, and performances. So, but we need to get back onto the winning ways against Barrow on Saturday. Simple as that. But look, we've got it's been a decent season so far, and there's a long way to go. We've got who else have we got? I don't think anyone. I think you're seriously stuck for things to do if you go into that Rotherham game. Is that this week?
I'm going.
Are you going?
Yeah, it's local for me. It's an hour down the road, really, an hour and 10 minutes. I'm taking my nephew Xander with me, just me and him on a night game. He loves.
You're going to be rattling around the New York Stadium. There's not going to be many there.
£13 for an adult, £2 for an under 14. So I'll take it for a Tuesday night.
Well, that's fair play to you for going.
I remember going to Rotherham away again when Sheridan had
5-1. I was there as well. Yeah, that was in those 5 games at the start of that season when we went.
Oh, was it? Yeah. Oh my God, it's the worst. That's the worst game I've ever been to. So hopefully we can put some ghosts away because, So, but I am going to the Rotherham game.
Wow. Well, fair play. We'll have a nice evening in Rotherham.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'll wave at you.
I mean, I don't even know if what is it, Tuesday? I don't even know if I'll bother watching it on the stream, to be honest with you. I just got no interest in this competition. I just think this whole under 21s thing, it just devalues like what I used to think it was all right. The Checker Trade or the Johnson's Paint or whatever. Papa John's, Pete's. It's been all these different sponsors, but it was an opportunity. We never made it to Wembley, but obviously we remember the Tommy Lee virtuoso performance against for Chesterfield that kept us from getting there. But I just think it's a lot of bollocks now. Then bringing in these under 21s, I presume he'll play players that. Was he getting back towards? Did he appear to be getting back towards fitness? But he's not made the bench, has he? And
what's happened to Leak as well? That was one that
I just think
he's yesterday.
Probably not. I mean, look, you'd be doing well to get Robson. I think Robson's been an excellent signing as well. Actually, I really like him.
Leak would probably come in at centre half, wouldn't he? Over Sutton, I'd say. And if Daniels was injured, he went off injured yesterday. So, I think we need Leak back. I think we need to have that cover.
Forgotten about it. It's like Charlesley was forgot. I mean, to say I know he scored 2 goals in his first 2 games last season, didn't he? Against was it Bromley at home? Not
Wealdstone away. Yeah,
Braintree. That's right. Yeah. But again, he's another one that kind of flirted back in, and Waters has gone out on loan, didn't he? I missed that yesterday.
Yeah, Swelteringham,
yeah. So,
I'm expecting it to be a second string 11 at Rotherham on Tuesday.
I guess the benefit will be presumably we'll have a look at Olsen and what's the other lad, the midfielder from Blackburn, 2 Blackburn lads. Just play because Jorgen Nathan, when he came in alone last season, he wasn't catching the playing squad for quite a few weeks until he probably started to show in training. He was up to speed, and then he got in and made a difference. So one of these 2 Blackburn lads could be helpful. Could make a difference. It'd be quite good to see them get a bit of run out. But
Jorgen Nathan was booed on at Boston. I was at Boston, and he was booed on. To be fair, and look at what happened. But it's. But no, it's good.
It's kind of like this competition is now a bit like in the National League Cup. It's basically a reserve league, isn't it? That's what it's been brought. That's what it's been boiled down to now. It's a competitive reserve game. So that's what it is. I mean, I used to go and watch reserve games occasionally at Boundary Park when you used to get the reserve season with your season ticket, didn't you? You could be able to go and watch reserve games as well. But I mean, and that was only ever one stand, wasn't it? The main stand was open for them, but we got played. So you get to see. I think we played United once, and like some Brian McClare playing and stuff like that. And so you know, obviously different era, but yeah. So now it's a reserve game, and maybe you never know, someone might sort of give Mickey Mellon something to think about for Saturday against Barra, for somebody else, a new starter or whatever, or somebody on the bench. I'm not a lot overall. Yeah, I was disappointed yesterday with the performance. I thought we were shite. But we know that we'll have games like that. We're in the 4th division. Like, you're going to have games where you just get beat because you're shit, and you just have to chalk it off to experience and go again.
Well. If it doesn't work, it really doesn't work. We don't really have that second way of playing, really. So things are going to happen. You know, it was shit yesterday. It was dog shit. I was knackered as well. So I think I left first time ever. I left with about 4 minutes to go. He put the board up for 4 minutes, and after watching their substitutes.
How was that not 10 minutes at least added on time?
Their 3 substitutes, triple substitution, took 4 minutes.
Yeah. Their goalkeeper. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, I know. That's the first time I've seen a corner given for a goalkeeper holding onto the ball. That's the first time I've seen that.
That's right.
I think to be fair, it was an act of mercy to the Latics.
Probably. Yeah, it allowed us to get. Allowed me to get home before 6 o'clock, which was nice.
We left on 88 minutes. I don't usually leave early, but it's like there's absolutely no way that we're scoring.
We had a goal disallowed in injury time. Apparently,
did we?
I think Mellon had a goal disallowed in injury time. Don't know what for, either handball or a push or something. I don't know. But
were you still there, Andy, for that, or had you buggered off?
No, I left on 88, 89 as well. I had to go back to the train station.
Yeah, as soon as you put the board up for 4, I was like, I'm out, done.
As soon as it was 4 minutes, So 89 going on at 9 minutes, 4 minutes. I couldn't believe it was 4 minutes.
Well, I had to get by. I had a gig last night. It's up in Hayside at the cricket club, so I had to get back.
Anyone good?
Not mess about. So,
was anyone good?
No, I was performing. So
you're performing? Oh, sorry.
yeah. So I had to be back because obviously the gig doesn't happen if I'm not there. But it was really good actually, because we got out and not many people had left early at all, and we drove straight out the car park, no hassle, and we got away really quickly. So that was the positive from yesterday. Yeah.
Well, I went to watch Pigeon Detectives on Friday night in Nottingham, and stayed over in Nottingham. My one of my best friends, his band's support for him. So there was a big group of people that we knew there. And so that it was a good weekend, which has been the way previously. Is it's only ruined by the football. And that's kind of...
that's it. People love Nottingham. It's a good away day, isn't it, Nottingham? Especially if you're out on the booze and that, on the train and stuff, and you get into the city and stuff. So, I'm sure it seemed like plenty of people had a good time. So that's the main thing. It's...
Hooters was full anyway, so that was
well, like the crowd was saying, they were only there for the Hooters. So,
we turned up. We turned up just as the bus pulled in with the fans coming in, so we got in just before the bus. So no, it was a good. Listen, we're going to get beat at times, and that's just going to happen. But it's how we respond now, and that's it. That'll tell us whether it's a crisis or a drama. Is the new one that they say now, isn't it, in football? So.
Right, well, we'll see you all for the phone-in on Thursday. Thanks for joining us, Chris. It's been a pleasure to have you on the show.
No, thank you for having me. Thank you. Thank you for all the work that you do. It's fantastic there's a podcast, and actually, for people who are exiled and aren't in Oldham, it's nice to listen to people talk about Oldham. So it's good. So
thanks for reminding me to plug another podcast that I've actually started. So that for people who are outside of Oldham who want to find out what's going on in Oldham, I've started a new podcast called The Cron Pod in association with the Oldham Evening Chronicle. It's going to be a news roundup show. So you can imagine it's a podcast that's going to be even duller than talking about Oldham Athletics. But hopefully not. We'll dig into what's going on in Oldham. And try and be upbeat and balanced about it, like we are on this podcast, rather than doom and gloom. So it should be interesting. We'll see how it goes. You can find that first episode's out now on Spotify, and it's released every Wednesday at 5 o'clock for your commute home from work or whatever you're doing at 5 o'clock on a Wednesday. So thanks for reminding me about that, Chris. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, Andy. What are you up to?
I am about to get the oven on and do a nice little roast up of some food.
Oh, yeah.
And then sit in front of an open fire because it's nice and cold, and get an open fire on. Crack
Sunday
open a
roast
couple of
season.
Guinnesses.
Oh, yeah. I love Sunday roast season. Now until April, innit, really? Sunday roast season. Fantastic. Yeah. Right. Enjoy the rest of your day, Chris, whatever you're up to.
I'm off to watch a under-11s football match, my brother's football match. He coaches the under-11s, so my nephew's playing. So Netlham under-11s, there you go. That's who's playing today. So I'm off to watch them today.
Good luck to them. And we'll see you on Thursday for the phone-in. Cheers, everyone.
Hey, Dave, did you know that listeners can now buy us a coffee or any other kind of hot beverage?
Ooh.
Well, what's your favourite hot beverage, Dave?
A macchiato.
And how do you like your macchiato?
Black with lots of milk. Oh.
No cream?
No.
Well, if you want to buy Dave
macchiato,
then go to buymeacoffee.com/We Are Oldham. I'll just have a Nescafe.
Ooh. Thank you, listeners.